Up next, Integrated Technology Development Ecosystem Case Study.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you here today. I am thrilled to be joined by my friend and colleague, Megan Sheehan from the Wright Brothers Institute. And we're really excited to share with you our vision for and the work that we've been doing collectively to create an integrated technology development ecosystem. It's Impact Week. And so what we're trying to really do is communicate to all of you the impact that we as nonprofit organizations are trying to have on the Air Force mission and really be great partners to the Air Force in achieving their desired outcomes. And so we thought it'd be helpful just to kind of lay out what we want to talk about a little bit. So we're going to give you a sense of our organizations. We're not sure that all of you necessarily know us. We expect that some of you will be tuning in to Impact Week from other parts of the country. So we want to give you a sense of who we are and how we support the Air Force. And then Megan and I want to give you some specific programs that we run to create, again, that integrated technology commercialization process surrounding the Air Force missions. So without any further ado, let me just talk very briefly about the Entrepreneur Center. So the Entrepreneur Center is located in Dayton, Ohio. We were formed as a technology business incubator 20 years ago. We're celebrating 20 years this year, I should say. And we've really transitioned from an incubator to a full service innovation support center. So as you can see, we do all the things that you would expect an organization that supports innovation to do, from incubation and acceleration programs, business support programs, aligning capital to companies. We've got a significant list of primary capabilities. Again, just what you'd expect from an incubator or an accelerator. Some secondary capabilities that in joining our efforts with Wright Brothers Institute, there's really no part of the commercialization process that we can't help and support. So we're also thrilled to have had a longstanding relationship with the Air Force. We're going on 6 years of providing support to the Air Force through a variety of programs, which we're going to talk about with you this morning. Megan?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Scott. Scott did mention that I'm with the Wright Brothers Institute, and while I do assume that you might not have intimate familiarity with us, I hope you know that we are the group that is responsible for bringing all the pieces and parts of Impact Week together today. And so thank you very much for being generous with your time, being here with us today. I am going to spend just a few minutes talking about the Wright Brothers Institute so you know who we are and what we do. So we are a PIA, for Partnership Intermediary Agreement. And that means that we have a special relationship with the Air Force, specifically with the Air Force Research Laboratory, but then also other parts of the Air Force as well. And, you know, we really work across all the different pieces and parts of the Wright Brothers Institute to make sure that we are working with our stakeholders to unlock their right problem, make sure that they're working in the space where they're going to be most able to make an impact. And we want to bring partners to those people so that they can have that impact as well, particularly new partners. One of our roles with the Air Force very specifically is to help connect them to the outside world and bring new partners to them. And so that's a great area of interest for us. And then, on the very right-hand side of the slide, you see that we synchronize transition pathways for new products and new services to come into the Air Force. And that's really very specifically where the team that I lead lives and where they really work and where Scott and I are going to be talking today. So if you could hit me on the next slide, please. At WBI, we want to be those change agents. We really want to, like I said, make sure that we're working in the right space with the right partners. And that's because we really work to, bring new capabilities and new capacities to the warfighter. And that we're able to leverage our military knowledge and relationships that we have to help bring those new pieces and parts into the Air Force ecosystem, but then also out of the Air Force ecosystem as well. And we're able to do that because, we really, as an institute, we really value being able to work creatively and being able to experiment and bring out new programs and new services. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today. But beyond the fact that we are a place that has an excellent relationship with the Air Force and, really exciting and interesting culture and philosophy, if and when you are in the Dayton, Ohio, and you get a chance to come down and visit us, come see our facilities too. Because we really pride ourselves on our ability to have spaces where those new people, those new non-traditional partners for the Air Force can interact. And most especially, come down and see us at our 444 East Second Street location. It is going to be the kind of spot where a lot of our companies that we talk about today really live and breathe and do their work. So Scott, I'll turn it back over to you for a second.
Thanks, Megan. So Megan talked about the capabilities of WBI, kind of the culture of WBI. I talked a little bit about the Entrepreneur Center and our innovation focus. And so one of the things that WBI and TEC share is kind of a common strategic vision. Now we work on these areas a little differently. We complement each other really well, but there is one area that we are 100% aligned and work, very closely together to really strengthen the role of research and development as an economic asset. We as a community are blessed and very fortunate to have the Air Force in our backyard, quote unquote. We're very fortunate to work with the Air Force research laboratories every day. The Air Force has a specific set of missions, obviously. The Air Force is researching technologies. It's working with small businesses across the country to understand the opportunities within the research and development space to, as Megan says, support the warfighter. Well, when you're blessed to have the Air Force research laboratories in your backyard, then you've got to figure out a way to support those research and development efforts and, frankly, create economic opportunities around those assets. The Air Force is researching technologies every day, all day long. Well, what happens when those technologies are developed? What happens when that intellectual property is developed? Then what happens? The Air Force doesn't make things necessarily, it acquires things. And so how do we, as support structures and support organizations, try to take advantage of that research and development that's sitting either within AFRL or the research and development that's being conducted by small businesses across the country in support of AFRL? How do we really try to create economic value for that research and development? And that's really what we believe is the impact that we collectively, Wright Brothers Institute and the Entrepreneur Center, are striving every day to really create. We're trying to turn all of that research and development energy into economic value. And so, as I said, we share a lot of similarities. We share a lot of great capabilities. But the one place that we are 100% aligned is really trying to take advantage of and support the Air Force in turning research and development into an economic asset. So how do we do that? Well, Megan and I, for the last 6 years, I think, right, Megan? 6 years have really been trying to develop with each other this integrated commercialization process, integrated ecosystem, call it whatever you want. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is cover this entire kind of workflow with resources, support structures, programs. So starting with technology and innovator identification, we're working each day to understand where innovations are going to come from, whether it's the small business innovative research companies, whether it's organic entrepreneurs in the community, whether it is partners that are entrepreneurial by nature. We're looking for innovators each day, and we're looking for technologies to put in the hands of those innovators. So we're looking for the technologies that are in the Air Force Research Laboratories portfolio. We're looking for technologies that are in the hands of cyber companies. We're looking for organic technologies that are coming out of research organizations or out of just the minds of really smart entrepreneurs. And so we're trying all the time to identify technologies and those innovators specifically as kind of raw material for what we are excited to have as kind of an integrated pathway. During that integrated pathway, we undertake really foundational development and we work to mature those opportunities. Now, if you've participated in Impact Week specifically today, there's been a number of sessions this morning on that integrated pathway from the ESP program, the Entrepreneurial Services Program, to the TVSF program, Technology Validation and Startup Fund. You've heard Fastlane talk about its programming and its opportunities. We think of all of that as part of this integrated pathway. We're trying to take technologies and entrepreneurs, provide a foundational development opportunity for them, mature those opportunities, and ultimately drive to real measurable outcomes. Measurable outcomes like investment, startups, licenses of Air Force technology, cooperative research and development agreements with the Air Force. We're looking to take advantage of those technologies and those individuals and create a reproducible process to create economic value around the research and development engine that is in the Dayton region and certainly within the Air Force Research Laboratories. And the way Megan and I do that is through really 4 substantive programs. And we're going to talk about each of these programs in a small amount of detail. But as you think about that commercialization process, these 4 programs in partnership with the Air Force are really intended to create that economic value around those technologies. Megan, you want to add anything to my comments about this integrated commercialization process that we've been laboring to build together for 6 years or so?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I want to call particular attention to in this slide right now and for this day in particular is that we are really excited about engaging with small businesses. So any of you on the call today who either work with and mentor small businesses, or who are yourselves a small business, and or who are a would-be entrepreneur and thinking about starting your own small business, you're going to be hearing us talk about these programs that we work with you as a small business. And part of the reason why we are so excited about that as an idea is because these technologies and these innovations that feed that left side of the pipeline, they're transformational. And because they are transformational, sometimes they're a little difficult for larger companies to intake and to work with. And so we know that you as a small business really have the ability to work with these technologies and to engage with them in a very kind of real wrestling boots on the ground kind of way, to make them bigger, to make them better, to make them more able to be implemented rapidly. And furthermore, to also be a good partner with the Air Force, right? So we work these processes with and for you so that you can be agile, so that you can be quick, so that you can help that big return on investment that the Air Force is looking for. And so that when we work through this whole integrated commercialization process that Scott has on the slide right now, so that you can make an impact, and so that in the end, your business can also be more mature, more ready to take on the next challenge, and be uniquely situated to be successful in the long term. Because we want that for you, and so too does the Air Force, my Air Force partner and Scott's Air Force partner want that for you too. Because we know that you guys are going to be change makers with us. And so we are committed to and engaged in that partnership and getting you there and working with you on every step of the way. So, yeah.
Well said. Thank you, Megan. So again, it's all about impact. It's all about impact, as Megan said, with small businesses. It's all about impact to the Air Force mission. It's all about impact to the individual organizations, companies, and entrepreneurs that are working with us. So let's talk a little bit about these programs. Again, we're going to talk about 4 programs. We're going to talk about the SBIR TAP program, both the first version of that and then the second evolution of that. We're going to talk about our T3 Accelerator, our Transition Accelerator, and then we're going to talk about our NEST program. Again, all these programs are designed to increase the impact of the investment that the Air Force has made in individuals and in technologies, to layer on the resources that we collectively, the Dayton region, the Wright Brothers Institute, the Entrepreneur Center, can lay on to these small businesses to support that development, including grant funding and state money and federal money and all a host of different programs that we add and create some leverage across the Air Force investment to, again, really create that impact. So we'll start with a SBIR TAP program. So first of all, the SBIR TAP program, it's a mouthful. We created the acronym SBIR TAP. TAP stands for Technology Acceleration Program. So we started this program back in 2015 with Wright Brothers Institute. And the premise there was that the Air Force was identifying a very significant number of small businesses that had technologies that were interesting and appeared to support the mission of the Air Force. They did that through their Small Biz Innovative Research Program, the SBIR grant program or SBIR research contract program. The Air Force understood that those small businesses were taking very early stage technologies and they were putting them into kind of the Air Force process, doing research on behalf of the Air Force. Well, the Air Force knows that at the end of the day, it can't fund the development of all of those technologies from start to finish. That's not the intention. That's not the desire of the Air Force. We want to be able to bring technologies to the warfighter as fast as possible. So the only way that you're going to be able to do that consistently is to utilize the support of the Air Force, but also add additional external investment, additional resources to really speed that development. So the SBIR TAP program was really an attempt to provide a foundational commercialization skill set. So it's based on the premise that very small cohorts of 10 to 15 companies join together to go through either a virtual, unfortunately in the world of COVID, we've had to make it virtual, but historically an in-person training program, about 15 hours of overall training. We really want to understand, is there commercial viability inside these inventions or these innovations? Again, notice the phrase commercial viability. We know the Air Force is interested in these technologies to align with their mission, but can you pull that technology and create kind of a dual use? That's really the focus of this program. Can you make sure that these programs are advancing, these technologies are advancing quickly so that the Air Force can make a better judgment about the fidelity to the mission, their ability to meet mission requirements? So as I said, we take 10 to 15 cohort members, we put them through a fairly intensive 2.5 day, typically 15-hour program. We use a number of tools to support those companies, and we ultimately create the opportunity to support these companies one-on-one with entrepreneurial support and direct assistance. And again, our entire point is to understand, is there really a compelling business value proposition inside the innovation? We know that researchers and engineers and scientists are constantly iterating, they're constantly innovating. We want to understand from all of those ideas, all of those things that have been created in the agile mind of those researchers, scientists, engineers, can you take those ideas and can you reduce those to really compelling business value? Can you create a sustainable business? Because if you can do that, and at the same time you can align your technology solution with the Air Force, then the Air Force has got the best of both worlds. The Air Force has great, vibrant small businesses that are meeting some of their needs, and these great, vibrant small businesses are able to move with the kind of pace that we want to, again, deliver technologies back in the hands of the warfighter just as quickly as we can. So we ask that question, is there a compelling business value proposition inside the innovation? And we ultimately align those ideas, this entire training, with tools like the business model canvas and other tools. And the point of these tools is to really create in one place a clear sense of the trajectory that this company is on. We then pair that sometimes with the mission model canvas, which is really a business model tool that aligns very specifically with AFRL and DoD customers. We're less interested there in understanding how we're going to sell our product to the masses. Instead, we're really focused on how we're going to align with specific needs, specific commands, specific missions within the Air Force or within a DoD mission set. So we're taking very early stage businesses, many businesses that have never been engaged with the DoD or with the Air Force before. We're providing a great foundational set of skills, and then we're using as an output a very common document that venture capitalists, that early stage technology specialists, that support organizations like WBI and the Entrepreneur Center use to really continue that dialogue. And in the 6 or so years that we've done this, we have been very proud of the success. We've touched hundreds of companies, hundreds of companies. You can see in the early days, we were doing fairly small cohorts. This worked really well for the Air Force, and the small businesses really resonated with the program. And so we've increasingly expanded the aperture and created more opportunities for companies. And probably the point that we are most proud of is that a company going from a phase one SBIR contract to a phase two, typically, if you go from that transition from phase one to phase two, about 50% of companies are going to move from a phase one to a phase two. They're going to successfully make that jump. On behalf of the WBI and the TEC teams, we're able to, through this program, take that number up to 90% success rate. So the Air Force is getting better technologies, they're getting better companies, the companies are more able to make that leap, and they're more able, frankly, to go out and get commercial investment. So we've had in our 5 years, $10.5 million of external investment in these companies. Remember, these are early stage technologies, very early stage technologies, getting a fairly significant infusion of early stage capital. So that's the SBIR TAP program, phase one. Megan, you want to talk about phase two?
Yeah, let's do it. So, so one of the things that we wanted to do, even before COVID put us all, quarantining in place in our houses, is that we wanted to figure out a way to extend the SBIR TAP program, not only through that SBIR development cycle, which I will talk about in a second, but also in ways where we can meet our clients where they live, right? So that our small businesses and our entrepreneurs aren't always coming to us, so that we can give them the ability to access programming that is meaningful for them and timely for them, and really, really on demand. So in 2019, we did go ahead and pilot SBIR TAP for phase two recipients, and in a virtual way, in an online environment. And on the next slide, which we can go to now, we'll talk about that a little bit. The primary goal here really is to prepare companies for scale. And so let's just step back for a second and remind all of you, when you receive a SBIR Phase 1 award, an SBIR Phase 1 award, the real purpose of that award is to enable you as a company to do feasibility and proof of concept studies. And so building that business model canvas that you do in SBIR TAP Phase 1 really aligns with how you're building out the technology at that moment in time. You're doing a lot of building activity in both cases, during the Phase 1 award and in the SBIR TAP Phase 1 also. So we're meeting you where you are in the process. In SBIR TAP for Phase 2, you're working with that SBIR Phase 2 award as well, which is really doing research and development and preparing to grow, preparing to scale, to get you to that Phase 3 award, to that Phase 3 cycle, where a company is able to do that commercialization work, to really engage with their customer and do the selling of the product that they've been working on. And for us, we don't want to be limited only to selling to Air Force companies, because while that is important, our companies really need to understand that they have to engage in the military market, and they have to engage in the more private market as well, or the commercial market as well, right? And so in the desired outcomes for SBIR TAP Phase 2, we want to see our clients be ready to have military clients. We want to be able to see them have large partnerships with prime contractors. We want to see them have potential investment. And we want to see them have commercial customers of their own. And so the purpose of the program here really is to prepare them for that, because and you see it in the cartoon that we have. You got a technology, you got a great technology, and now what are you going to do with it? What in the heck are you going to do with it now? So we spent some time in the program helping the clients think about that. Could we hit the next slide, please? And we do that through a number of modules that are available to these clients to consume, on demand online. And they walk the clients through that scaling of their business, really helping them understand, okay, now who is going to be my big long-time customer, and how am I going to reach them? What minimum viable product am I going to take to them, and how am I going to get everything there? And one of the things that we're really proud of is that we maintain that mentoring that we started in SilverTap Phase 1. And so after each of the modules that they learn, they're checking back in with the mentors that we have engaged through the SilverTap program, the entrepreneurs and residents, to make sure that learning is validated and applied into the scope of their business, and that they're using it well, so that small businesses that engage in SilverTap Phase 2 have roots to commercialize their product, so that they're ready to move on to that Phase 3, and so that they learn how to move quickly, and how to do that, and how to experience life at the speed of an entrepreneur, how to begin to move fast, and how to apply things quickly so that they can be successful as a business, and so that they can change their mindset from research and development to actual application and sales in the end. Can we hit the next slide, please? We're really proud of this particular program. We ran it as a beta in 2019, and 80% of our companies, did go ahead and complete the program then. And all of them reported that they had a higher confidence in their ability to scale their business, to go to that Phase 3, to make sure that they were ready to sell. And especially that's really important that they have commercial clients then, because within the DoD, selling and achieving that Phase 3, that official Phase 3 within the DoD, has a long cycle time. There's a slow return on investment there at that moment in time for those companies. And so if they're able to meet a commercial need and a military need both, they're uniquely situated for success. And we're looking right now to replicate that success with them, to bring those learnings to a new cohort of companies that have engaged with us this year as well in 2020. We've got 20 companies that are working through the program today. Next slide, please. Oh, and sorry, can we go back, Scott? That was SilverTap Phase 2. I wanted to give you a chance to see if you had anything else to say on that before I keep talking about something new.
No, that's great. I think that's really well said. Thank you, Megan.
Okay. So, like I said, earlier in the program today, we're really working to meet small businesses where they are. We're really trying to bring them resources where they are so that they can be successful. And, we do that in part because we are very engaged with our military client, and specifically the Air Force and the Air Force Research Laboratory. So, it looks like we're running out of time, so I'm going to run real quick here. One of the things that we do very much in that vein is we run a T3 Transition Accelerator. And, the purpose of the accelerator itself is to be that hyper-commercialization entity, to really help these companies learn how to engage with their military client. There's a very, very specific military focus that comes out of the T3 Accelerator. And it's a massive program that runs for 10 weeks. You got a week on and a week off, virtual versus in person. We introduced that kind of battle rhythm this year because of COVID. We pivoted to do everything online. We're really pretty proud of that. And because of that in and out, virtual, in person, it means that the clients receive 6 weeks of direct training, direct feedback, culminating in about 200 hours of FaceTime. And then there's an additional 4 weeks where they do the application of their lessons into their business itself. So can we skip ahead, I think, to some of the outcomes, please? So the accelerator itself, culminates in pursuing Phase 2 and Phase 3 awards. So in 2019, we had the ability to go ahead and achieve a lot of those awards, and we we were running an additional program this year in 2020 that just wrapped up recently with our T3 Demo Day. We hope that some of you were able to see us there. Scott, I see that we have almost 0 minutes left. So are there any parting lessons that you want to give to our businesses here?
No, I would say that we're excited to share with you some of these programs because we do think that they have very significant impact on the work we do within the community, within the Air Force, and very significant impact on the ability of communities like ours and maybe communities like yours to really help create economic value around some of the research and development that goes around us all day long. So with that, we want to thank you for the time. We want to thank you for the attention. Megan, always great to spend a little bit of time with you and get to talk about the work that Wright Brothers Institute and the Entrepreneur Center do together. We hope you
Yeah.
have a wonderful day and a great holiday as well.
Yeah, please, if you're a small business, come down and engage with us. Both Scott and myself, we have excellent teams around us. We're happy to be helpful for you and meet you where you are and help you commercialize your product to be successful for our clients.